A few months ago, Charlie Kirk engaged in a debate with a man who would later celebrate his death.
This is the man who is due to be the president of an association that is committed to free speech.
And this is not just a man who's seen him online. He's debated this man. He's spoken to this man.
I noticed something that I had not seen before.
I never went to university. I take that as a great compliment. So therefore, everyone who went to university should be able to run circles around me. You'll be the judge, but I'll do my best.
Spoiler alert, they are not able to run circles around Charlie. It's the exact opposite.
I must caution you. Entertainment is on this side for you. Education is on this side.
It's one of the most prestigious colleges in the world. And Charlie Kirk brought that place down to its knees. It's been in the news because of the head of its debate society, these comments he made.
Including Charlie Kirk got shot, let's effing go, and here he is promoting violence.
To effectively create change in the world we desire. And Side Prop will argue that at times there is simply nothing else that can be required other than violent retaliation.
When is that warranted? It's the second portion that really exposes his motivation.
And this is a view I wholeheartedly agree with. The view that some institutions are too broken, too aggressive, too oppressive to be reformed.
He's aiming at his own society, here and now.
Like cancers of our society, they must and they should be taken down by any means necessary.
Any means necessary would logically include violence. People are like, how is this the guy in charge of open debate at Oxford?
This House believes that Trump has gone too far.
His rhetoric has deepened hostility among family, friends, and everyday people, making Americans who once saw family and community see enemies.
I now look to Laura Smith to close the case for the proposition.
So this professor stands up and delivers her opening monologue, and then Charlie has a chance to counter it. And this is what it looks like when we cut the two statements side by side. Charlie just...
Fentanyl. It's racing across the border. We got to stop it. It's dangerous. How much fentanyl comes across the Canadian-US border? 0.01%. I'm sorry, that's wrong. Less than 0.01% comes across the US-Canadian border.
The professor failed to mention that the Canadian border was closed. President Trump said fentanyl, and the amount of terrorists that are coming across the Canadian border, of which the most terrorists that come into America come across the Canadian border on the terrorist watch list.
Yeah, notice she just left out the whole portion about terrorism.
Finally, professor, you never heard of it in South Africa. Interesting. You never heard of that.
Her face here, she's trying to act more confident than she is, but notice her starting to drink water here because she's feeling the heat.
Another really interesting thing I find about Donald Trump and his use of power and deportation and immigration policies, creating the crisis, he seems to be really fixated on a potential genocide in South Africa against white South Africans. Nobody else has really heard of this.
Kill the poor, the farmer.
And yet, white South Africans, no thank you, you'll get your chance, Mr. Kirk.
You're a political science professor at Oxford. This is someone who's willing to make claims about Donald Trump lying about South Africa without even taking the time to research what is happening in South Africa.
You never heard of it in South Africa. Interesting. You never heard of that. The fact that a major political party in South Africa says, quote, kill the Boers, I would expect more of somebody who wrote a dissertation and teaches here at Oxford to say that you would not know about the attempted slaughter and genocide of white South Africans.
So now let's look at this debate when Charlie did stand across the table from this guy.
Do you see this generation of lost boys as a failure of, like, say, masculinity?
There's an irony here. It's especially difficult to watch because in this debate, Charlie is fighting for men just like the guy who killed him, and he didn't even know it.
Are there, like, any other reasons as to why this generation of lost boys might exist, or do you basically attribute it to just...
I acknowledge all of that, of course. I mean, one of them, it's a very good faith question, and thank you.
I've seen Charlie do this so many times. When someone asks him a question in good faith, he points it out. It's like he would match the incoming energy. And he could be firm when needed.
The largest of all of them is the cultural and the educational that has infantilized men and hyper-feminized them.
As we get more evidence, it seems to be indicating that the guy who killed Charlie Kirk was a young man captured by an ideology, struggling with his masculinity for sure.
Yeah, in what way has the education system infantilized men?
I mean, every possible way, from the hypermedication of young men, from in the core curriculum in America, we learn about toxic masculinity.
This is so ironic because when we cut back to the professor Charlie was debating, the Oxford professor, she was doing just this.
And Andrew Jackson ignored it. Why? Because he was living in the democracy of the white man.
The democracy of the white man, which is exactly what this guy is claiming needs to be burned down by any means necessary.
Thank God we no longer live in the democracy of the man, although I do notice a bit of a gender divide here, which may reflect the support that Donald Trump has and that gender divide of his own.
We never talk about toxic femininity. Do you agree that there's toxic femininity as well?
I mean, I think it's an unfair double standard.
Why?
Well,
how can femininity not be toxic if masculinity can?
I'm not saying they can't be. I think
Do we teach kids about toxic femininity in our schools? No, tell me yes or no.
I mean, I think that they come from two very different places. I think toxic masculinity comes from a level of misogyny, where I think toxic femininity often comes from a reaction to a misogynistic system which fundamentally oppresses and systematically oppresses women.
According to his logic, the system must be destroyed.
Some institutions are too broken, too aggressive, too oppressive to be reformed. Like cancers of our society, they must and they should be taken down by any means necessary.
It's the conflation of what actually is evil. But you got to be careful about how you direct that aim.
And I'm not saying that toxic femininity is a good thing, but I'm saying it's a much more understood and valid reaction to a system of oppression.
It's not a good thing, but it is understandable because it's fighting back against oppression. Well, where are we seeing that?
Versus toxic masculinity, which oppresses.
Okay, so even if I grant you that, are they teaching toxic, is that term ever been used in a school that you know of?
What term?
Toxic femininity?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's weird. How does that sound to a dock worker in Brighton or someone in Essex? We need to make things more feminine? No, instead, we need to restore the balance that God created man and women, and right now, and by the way, you want an example? Adolescence. How does that movie Adolescence not broadly generalize a theme that, first of all, doesn't exist, secondly, is like a slow motion, like humiliation ritual for the young boys of Britain?
It's so eerie to hear this now because that's exactly what happened to the guy who killed Charlie.
I don't think adolescence is a generalization. We're not saying that every young boy in the UK is like this. We're not saying every young boy goes through this process. It's an example of what can happen when people fall into this kind of media. I think it's like, and it's more of a story or a warning to what can happen to people that, you know, fall into these bubbles, who don't find the help that they necessarily need, that can turn violent.
The irony is that it's the reality was the exact opposite to the narrative being pushed in adolescence.
Do you think men will be generally happier if they're married, providing, and have children?
I don't think that's a necessary factor to contribute to men's happiness.
What is your solution to bring about male happiness in the West? Mine is men get married, have children, and provide. What is yours?
That's a big question.
Just the image here, the juxtaposition could not be more different.
I think an affirmation of their emotions, their emotional states.
We've tried that.
How do you apply that to someone who's feeling something invalid? Not all behavior is good. It's not all malleable.
An openness to allowing men to express themselves in whichever way they want, even if that is in a more effeminate way or a Western, typically effeminate way.
With all due respect, have you been to London the last 10 years? Men can do whatever they want.
I live in London.
Are they happier? Men can dress how they want. Men can act how they want. They can go to any club. Has it worked?
Yeah, but also we've had austerity.
Austerity being similar to poverty, claiming it's economic.
You're scrambling for an excuse to get away from the truth that's right in front of you. So I would just ask you to think over the next couple of days, months, or years, why is it that men in countries that barely have toilets and do not have 2 pounds to rub together, but they do have kids and they do have a wife, are much happier than someone with a big flat in downtown London? Something to think about.
I mean, I think happiness is a difficult idea to conflate in that sense. I mean,
No,
there are other
suicide.
duties.
They're less likely to kill themselves. Forget all these happiness indexes. If you kill yourself, you're not happy, right? So these poor countries do not have male suicide problems. Why?
I do not know.
Think about it. Thank you very much.
Just make no mistake, that shooter, in a way, similar to suicide, he was throwing his life away. He might get the death penalty. So it's eerie to see Charlie addressing that very thing directly here, months prior to his death. And standing across from the table is a man who would go on to celebrate his murder.